It's Argentina time here on Caught Offside, the contenders, and we're joined by Roy Nemer of Mundo Albiceleste, the website where you can get all your news and information on the Argentinian national team. It's going to be a great resource for this World Cup. Roy, welcome. How are you?
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm doing well. And all the information, all in English, and hopefully it's going to be a good World Cup.
Well, hopefully you'll be busy deep into the World Cup. And I suppose before we actually get to that part of it, let's talk about Lionel Messi. I think he's the place to start because the 2018 World Cup, the last World Cup, we saw someone who was, for his status, still completely seemed to be overawed by the occasion, and didn't seem 100% right mentally. And the World Cup went accordingly. But now, with the international trophy, with the Copa America in his back pocket, with him being in great form, really, is this a more relaxed Messi? Is this a guy ready to go, maybe to finally claim that World Cup?
I hope so. It certainly looks like it. This is, if you look at every single World Cup he's taken part in from 2006 up until now, he's always gone into it in very, very good form. Aside from 2006, he was just coming back from injury, and even then he was more of a substitute player, more of a squad player. In 2010, he was scoring for fun. In 2014, he had that injury at the start of the year, and then towards the tail end of the season, he really pushed, and Argentina went to the finals. In 2018, he was in very good form for Barcelona as well, and things didn't work out. Not because of him, it's just the overall feel within the squad and the coaching staff. There was a lot of arguments within the coaching staff themselves, plus the players. This time around, like you mentioned, he won the Copa America, won the Finalissima as well, which I do count as a trophy.
Yeah, I see that. I see you've put that on your Twitter bio. You're not letting any international trophies go astray for Argentina.
At all. After 28 years of heartbreak, I'm gonna take every single trophy I could get. But and this is a squad that even Messi mentioned it himself. He said there's a lot of resemblances in this squad with 2014, the team that made the final, and this is really a band of brothers to the point where even last year they went on vacation together. So they won the Copa America last summer, and a bunch of them went on vacation together. And I think that's helped the team, and that's helped Messi even more to settle in, because this is a very, very different squad from the one from 4 years ago. 19 players will be making the World Cup debuts for Argentina this year. So that's a big change, and Messi's the leader. So we're seeing a much more mature Messi, even more so from the one in Russia. We're seeing a Messi that's just incredibly in form. And we're seeing a team that knows how to play for Messi and with Messi. And that's something that we haven't seen in about 8 years. So it's definitely a more focused Messi.
Yeah, let's talk about the players around Messi, because I remember going into the 2018 World Cup, the big debate was how do you formulate the attack? Who plays? Who are the other two that play with Messi? Or who's the other one? So how is that going to look this time around? And has that kind of that debate been solved?
It has, to a certain degree. The starting 11 under Lionel Messi has been a fixed starting 11, let's say, for the better part of a year. There may be some differences in terms of the left back that's starting or the right back, but generally speaking, it's been the same. Lo Celso's injury in midfield is a big, it is a big factor, but in terms of the attack, it's either, Messi, Lautaro Martinez and Angel Di Maria, or Messi, Lautaro Martinez and Nicolas Gonzalez. And in general, more often than not, it has been Di Maria, especially since after the Copa America. So that's really the front three. Now, you could have some changes in there. You could play Alejandro Papu Gomez, that adds some variations in attack. You have Julian Alvarez of Manchester City, who has played there as well, alongside Lautaro Martinez in one of the friendly matches in September. So there's a couple of different attacks that we can get for Argentina. But in terms of the starting 11 or the starting attack, the front three, I would bet very, very good money that against Saudi Arabia, it's going to be Messi, Lautaro Martinez, and Angel Di Maria.
You mentioned a name there that piqued my interest, Julian Alvarez, who looks absolutely fantastic in the little cameos we've seen at Manchester City, and came so highly rated from River Plate, right?
Yeah, yes, correct, from River Plate.
Yeah, he looks like just such a skillful and accomplished finisher. What's his role going to be off the bench, kind of late in games? How do you see that?
It's going to depend. It's very funny that you actually asked that in terms of what his role is, because a couple of months back, his role was more of a third choice striker. So it was Lautaro Martinez, Joaquin Correa of Inter Milan, and then Julian Alvarez. And from what I've heard, Julian Alvarez actually got the call that he was going to the World Cup before Joaquin Correa. And that's got to mean something. And in the previous friendly matches, Alvarez, like I said, he has played and he has started. So I think we're going to see, yes, more of a substitute role for Alvarez, but a more prominent one. I don't see him coming on in the last 10 or 15 minutes like he has been doing, or like he did for Manchester City at the start of the season. I think we're going to see Alvarez maybe in different roles. He's a very, very intelligent player. He can play on the wings, can play in the middle, knows how to make that run, to dictate that pass, so to speak, when he plays off the shoulder of the defender. Very intelligent, knows how to play the ball, knows how to play with his teammates. So a very good player. And Lautaro Martinez runs himself to the ground, be it for Inter Milan or for Argentina. And in a short 7-game tournament, you have to give it your all. And I have no doubt that every player is going to give it their all. And that's why I think to a certain degree, we're going to get to see a lot more of Alvarez with the national team. It's not just going to be Lautaro Martinez. I think, yes, Lautaro does start, but ultimately I think there's going to come a point where Alvarez is going to start getting some more minutes on the pitch for Argentina.
So how does that midfield look then? Because that's going to be crucial in supplying those guys with the ball that they need. How will that be comprised?
Yeah, I mean, if you would have asked me about a week ago, I would have told you it's a no-brainer. Rodrigo De Paul, Giovanni Lo Celso, and Leandro Paredes. Lo Celso, on loan from Tottenham Hotspur to Villarreal. He's injured, does require surgery, will not be at the World Cup. And those three have started more than a dozen matches for Argentina, more than a dozen matches. And that's been the starting three. Now, when Lo Celso was suspended for Argentina, because last year, just around this time last year, he, along with the 3 other Argentine players from the Premier League, flew to South America for the World Cup qualifiers against their club's wishes. Ultimately, all 4 got suspended for a couple of matches in the World Cup qualifiers. And those 2 games were at the start of this year. So Lo Celso was not there. And it was games against Venezuela and games against Ecuador. And Alexis McAllister of Brighton started both of those games alongside Rodrigo De Paul and Leandro Paredes. Now, could that be a sort of indication that we're going to see Alexis in place of Lo Celso? Quite possibly, especially that in the past couple of friendly matches in the United States in September, McAllister got some minutes. Now, there is a sort of hierarchy within the team, and it depends on the profile, right? Because every midfielder for Argentina brings something different to the table. Papu Gomez, way more attacking, a very good dribbler, very skillful, a great passer, but offers nothing defensively. Ezequiel Palacios of Bayer Leverkusen, who's maybe not as known as some of the other midfielders for Argentina, actually just came back from injury and played a very good game for Leverkusen in a win against Stuttgart. And he was one where at the start of Lionel Scaloni's cycle in 2018, he was the one that was starting games and even starting games to a certain degree ahead of Lo Celso. And he's a very good two-way player. Then you have the big name of Enzo Fernandez, who has just been a revelation, at least in Europe. He was very well known. He played alongside Alvarez at River Plate. They formed a great partnership, and now he went to Benfica, and he's being linked with Premier League clubs, Liverpool, Manchester United, some of the top teams, not only in England, but in Europe. And he is a very different type of player from Lo Celso. So every player brings something different. And then you have obviously Alexis McAllister, whom I mentioned, and Guido Rodriguez. Although Guido Rodriguez has been a starter for Argentina, he's purely a defensive midfielder. So it all depends, I think, on what the coach Scaloni is looking for, and maybe the opponent as well. Argentina's opening game against Saudi Arabia, maybe you can go with someone more attack-minded than defensively. And I think that's what we're going to get. I think we're going to get, against Saudi Arabia, Leandro Paredes, Rodrigo De Paul, and Papu Gomez. However, I wouldn't rule out seeing Alexis McAllister, especially not in the form that he's in.
Roy, who plays alongside Lisandro Martinez at centre-back?
Well, that's the thing. It's funny that you mentioned that, because Lisandro Martinez, in all likelihood, is not going to start for Argentina. He's going to be the substitute. The 2 starting center backs are Christian Romero of Tottenham Hotspur and Nicolas Otamendi of Benfica. Now, you probably hear the name Otamendi and you think, ooh, what, how, why? Otamendi's gotten a bad rep. right?
Yes.
Especially because of some of the games towards the tail end of his Manchester City career. But Otamendi has been instrumental in Argentina for the past year and a half. He and Christian Romero complement each other perfectly, absolutely perfectly. And the Otamendi that you see with Argentina and specifically with Benfica for the past year and a half is not the same Otamendi that we saw at Manchester City. It's night and day. With that said, he is yellow card prone still alongside Romero. So Lisandro Martinez will probably end up starting maybe the match against Poland, the third game in the group.
Sure.
But knock on wood, injuries aside and suspensions, it's going to be those two. It's going to be Otamendi and Romero, but don't count out seeing Lisandro Martinez. He actually came on as a substitute for Argentina against Brazil last November, or last year now, in a World Cup qualifier where he played as a defensive midfielder, so not as a center back. So we could see Lisandro maybe in different positions, but in all likelihood, the starting 11, the center backs, it's going to be Romero and Otamendi.
So I'm not allowed to be lazy and just say, well, if I'm picking one weakness for this Argentinian team, it's going to be Otamendi. So I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to ask you, if there's something that could upset this side, if there's an area that you think could bring the whole house down, where is it?
It's difficult to tell. And I'm not saying that because I'm trying to be biased. Absolutely not. Every team has its gaping holes and strengths and weaknesses. I think one of the weaknesses for Argentina is, and I say this very cautiously, potentially the right back position.
Okay.
Nahuel Molina of Atletico Madrid has been the starting right back for Argentina since the end of the Copa America. He's been great, very good fullback. With that said, he's better offensively than defensively. Not to say he's bad defensively, but he's just better, moving forward. The other option that we have at right back is Gonzalo Montiel, and he's been very inconsistent with Sevilla. However, the Copa America final against Brazil, Gonzalo Montiel was arguably the man of the match. He shut down Neymar, he shut down Gabigol, he shut down Richarlison, he shut down Vinicius Jr. He played like a madman. And the third choice is Juan Foyth. And Foyth has improved a lot in recent seasons, especially at Villarreal. Personally speaking, I still have a couple of question marks regarding him, not necessarily regarding his form, but we've seen in the past with Argentina, he does have those lapses in concentration. More specifically, right before the Copa America, he played 2 games for Argentina, and he made a big mistake. It was the 90th minute in a World Cup qualifier. It was the last game before the Copa America, and at that point, Foyth was a starter for Argentina. He was in the squad. His position in the team was not questioned. He made a big mistake, which led to a goal. Argentina would draw that game, and Foyth was not selected for the Copa America. And we've seen that before with Foyth. Nothing against him. It happens. It happens to every player. But with him, at one point, it became a sort of recurring theme. So that right back position, Molina has started more often than not. He started the games for Argentina for the past year. But if there is a potential weakness defensively, it could be that. But that's not to say that I'm worried about it. Not at all.
Finally, Roy, speaking with your heart, not your head, how far does this Argentinian team go?
I see no reason, and I say this with fingers crossed and knocking on wood and,
sure.
and everything. I see no reason why this team cannot defeat anybody. Cannot just get the win against anybody. I'm not going to go further than that to jinx it, but
so they're capable. What you're saying is, on their day, they're capable of taking out any side.
That's it. Yeah, I kind of panicked. They're trying to pick my words, and I didn't want to jinx it. But yes, no.
What's the expectation? What's the expectation in Argentina then amongst people going into this World Cup as to where they'll finish?
There's much more optimism this year as opposed to last time around. Much more optimism, and I think it's clear for everybody why. The reasoning why. Again, all the way, all the way. If it's not all the way, is it a disappointment? As a fan, yes. But logically, realistically speaking, only one team can lift the trophy. But like you said, on their day, yes, they can beat anybody. Unfortunately, there's a lot more competition this year than last year, than the last World Cup. There's a lot of strong teams this year, not just Argentina. Brazil have improved significantly in the past year or two. Spain as well. France are the favorites. Germany's Germany. England as well have a pretty solid team. Portugal's a dark horse. So there's a lot of strong teams this year. But I don't see. I think Argentina is more than capable of beating all of those teams. But like I said, only one country can lift the trophy.
Well, Roy, we wish you the very best of luck. Mundo Albiceleste is the website, English-speaking website. You can go and you can follow Argentina from a distance. And Roy, thanks so much for your time and good luck.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.